Good evening, everybody. My name is Jamie Paxton. I'm the host of Warrior Spotlight, where the stories are real, the emotions are raw, and the hearts are courageous. Tonight we have a couple special guests with us. First, I want to introduce my husband, my sidekick always, sporting the sweatshirt.
Sporting our new, got your six.
Got our six, yes, very much so.
Push that out there.
Okay. Tonight I'm just going to read a little bit of both your backgrounds, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes. How's that sound?
Awesome.
Okay. So we have B.J. Duckworth, Executive Director of Membership, YMCA, Greater Toledo, from 2018 to current. Vice President, President-elect, Board of Directors for the Ohio Business Week, as of September 2020. And you were the recipient of the Ohio YMCA Hero Award in 2020.
Sweet!
Yeah.
And then we have Jason Graven, former military police officer from the U.S. Army, military programs coordinator at Bowling Green State University. He's the executive director of Task Force 20, how do you want me to say that? MBA in marketing at the University of Toledo, and then he had a Bachelor of Arts in History at the University of Toledo.
Correct.
Then I pulled a little something off his Facebook, which I absolutely loved. He has a quote on there that says, "I live to affect positive change on everyone I meet," which I loved that. So
Thank you.
I believe you wanted to
Awesome.
steal something from me the day you were with me, so now I want to steal that from you.
To each their own.
Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you for your service. BJ, we are going to start with you.
Awesome.
So, I like to tell our guests how we know each other, which we don't know each other.
Correct.
It is through a mutual person.
Yes.
That her name is Diane.
Yes.
That I met at the Savannah Chamber. I'm part of the chamber, and we. You said her husband was a Marine.
Was a Marine, yes.
Well, he is a Marine.
He's
Once a Marine, always a Marine. That's what they say. And we were talking about the YMCA, and she was talking about what you guys do. And I said, "Do you do anything special for military?" And she says, "Yes, we do."
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I was given your name, and now you're here on the show.
Here I am, because
Here.
Diana didn't want to come. Not to throw her under the bus or anything.
So tell us a little bit about you first, and then we'll get into the why.
Yeah, so I'm a native of Northeast Ohio originally, so my O's and A's will sound funny to all the Northwest Ohio people. My grandfather was in the 82nd Airborne in Korea, so I always had the desire to skydive because, I mean, that's basically what he did for a living.
Right.
So a few years ago, I had that opportunity and jumped a few times.
I've been wanting to do that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. My girlfriend Kim, that I live with out here, her grandfather flew bombers during World War II. So ironically, he told her, like, you never jump out of a plane because that means it's really bad. So we kind of clashed on that front. But spent a lot of time. I worked for Coca-Cola for a long time and transferred out here and was given an opportunity to work for the Y and serve the community. And this is my way to serve. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, thanks.
Well, thanks for having me.
For your service, too.
Yeah. And for your grandfathers. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about how the veterans fit into what the Y has to offer.
Yeah, so for many people, the Y is just a swim in a gym. It's a place to work out, it's a place to go swimming, but that's not who we are at our core. We are a mission and cause-driven nonprofit organization. Our mission is to build healthy spirit, mind, and body for all is the key part of that, and our cause is to strengthen our community. And we don't do that just through a fitness center and a pool. We do that through the community that is the Y. So everybody from the kids in our preschool childcare centers to the 100-and-some-year-old folks that participate in our active older adult classes. That's who makes the Y kind of unique. And veterans, active duty military families, all of those folks, first responders, all are part of that community. And we try to be a place where we don't care if you're black, white, Latino, Muslim, Christian, a veteran, not a veteran, a Trump supporter, a Biden supporter. All that disappears when you walk in our doors, and you're part of the community. So I think that the welcomingness lends itself nice for many people. And then we have some specific programs that both we do on our own, as well as a national program that we participate in as well.
Do you roughly how many veterans do you have that participate in the Y?
So it's really hard to have an accurate number because many don't disclose to us that they're a veteran or military in order to receive the discounts that I'll talk to you about. All of those folks.
Sorry.
He just had to
It
make
happens,
sure the
man.
sound was working.
Yeah.
You know.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So on the questionnaire or on the application that they fill out, does it ask them if they're a veteran, or what is the verbiage that it says?
So if they are requesting the hero discount, which we offer, which is 15% off, we do ask them for their status. Are they police, fire, EMS, veteran, guard, reserve, family member? But if it is just a general member, we do not solicit that information unless they want to give it to us.
Oh, okay.
That we have a place where they can write other information. We do what we call our kind of listen first conversations. So we try to ask people about themselves and let them disclose what they want to disclose. We find some people don't want us to know, and we're okay with that. We want to know so that we can thank them, but we try not to force that information out of them. So it's kind of hard to answer that question, but there's not a day that goes by that we don't walk through the Y and you see a proud veteran wearing his Vietnam hat or
Right.
a Desert Storm hat or one of those.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason that I ask that is because on a lot of questionnaires, people ask the question, "Are you a veteran?" And a lot of times, veterans don't even know they're veterans, right? So we've encouraged them to change the verbiage on the forms to asking, "Have you ever served in the military?" Because some of them, like I said, have no idea even that they are a veteran.
Yeah.
Besides not wanting to tell you that they're veterans, So,
That's a good point.
so what does this? Is it just a straight 15%? How does it work? Is it?
So there are really a few things that come into play. So the first one is we participate in a program through YMCA Armed Services, which is a nationwide program that partners with the Department of Defense. And I never served in the military. I don't try to claim that I ever did, but so I don't totally understand some of the lingo in these. But those individuals that are deployed and are given Title X orders can receive free memberships for their family while they are deployed. Also, then folks that are stationed not at a base, so recruiters are very typical of this, where they're kind of independent location, can also then get free membership. And that's run through the Department of Defense. We give you the paperwork and you run it through that military chain of command. It gets sent back to us and we set you up and we invite your family in and celebrate you like we would anybody else. That information is available at all of our locations. They can print that application off and provide it to somebody. And then you can take that to your commander to find out if you're eligible. And then we do, the second thing is we do have a hero discount, which is 15% off our pricing across the board. And that's income based. All of our membership rates are based off income. So if you qualify for one of those lower income brackets, you get 15% off that reduced rate. We feel strongly that the Y should be for all, and we don't want price to be
So
the
it's a
reason why
sliding
you don't
scale.
come in. So it's a sliding scale.
Sure.
We have a standard rate, and we are lucky enough that we have thousands of donors that donate to our annual campaign that make it so we can offer income-based pricing and the hero discount. And then if you need more, we won't ask you. We'll never come out and say, you look like you need more. You need a bigger discount. But if you indicate to us,
Did we do? Yeah, closed mouth don't get fed.
yeah. So if you indicate to us, hey, I'm going through a tough time right
Struggles,
now,
right.
we have additional financial assistance outside of what is published. So based both off income and situation. So some folks come in and they have a high income, but they've fallen on hard times. They have somebody in their family with a health issue or COVID hit and they're laid off, and we take that situation into consideration, and then we provide additional support for their membership.
How many locations are there? in the U.S.? Do you know?
So the YMCA of Greater Toledo has 10 locations
Right.
that stretch from Waterville all the way to Adrian, Michigan. But there are literally thousands and thousands of YMCAs across the country.
Are they worldwide? Are they
We
in
are
other countries?
Worldwide.
Really?
You go to Canada, you'll see Ys. The logos will look a little different from country to country, but
Europe and I'm just thinking like if you're deployed in Europe, why
all over the country,
Wow.
all over the world.
Yeah.
And the nice thing in the U.S. is if you join 1Y,
right
95% of YMCAs participate in the National Reciprocity Program. So if you're in Austintown, Ohio, where I lived before I moved here, or if you're in Toledo, Ohio, or Florida,
right
now with COVID, some of this is suspended,
Sure.
Right.
but you can use the Y when you're a member
so
of one.
universal,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking then too. If they were in other parts of the world and deployed and happened to have one,
Yeah,
use it. Right.
absolutely. And,
How old
and-
is the Y?
Oh God, we're 175 years old.
Really?
The YMCA of Greater Toledo is not quite that old, but
Right.
worldwide.
But the actual
Yep.
organization is 175 years old.
Founded in London, England.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Huh. That's cool.
And feel free to, if you have any questions, go ahead and jump in. You're
Jump
part
right
of this
on in.
conversation.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing is the assistance that I talked about. Say you're like, I don't want to be a member, but my daughter needs swim lessons, and I can't afford the swim lessons. Come to us, and we can work out assistance for just that swim lesson.
Sure.
Or you're looking for a place just for your kid to be on a basketball team and get some instruction at 6, 7, 8 years old. We can provide assistance for those.
Right.
We don't want you to be forced to join to participate in programming. We want you to join and be part of the community. But if you just want to do a few key things, we'll help you along that way.
Do you guys do membership drives of any sort?
Yeah. So throughout the year, I have some overly aggressive, membership promotions at the beginning of the year to try to entice some people to come and join the community.
What is happening now within the Y with what's going on with COVID?
Yeah. So we have, really completely changed the way we operate when it comes to cleanliness. We have doubled our cleaning staffs. We've doubled our cleaning budgets. I was telling you the story before we started about our CEO cleaning the child care centers during the closure. Really, everybody in our building cleans every day.
Right.
We have certain times throughout the day where we use sprayers and spray high traffic areas to do additional cleanings. Additional cleanings happen at night. But if you walk through one of our buildings, you'll probably see 10 or 15 cleaning stations, 20 or 30 hand sanitizing stations.
And you're not 24 hours, right?
We are not, none of our
Okay.
locations in Toledo are 24 hours. So that gives us a good opportunity in the evenings to really sanitize those spaces that may not get as much attention as they should. But, we have people all the time walking around the buildings and cleaning, and we've distanced equipment. We have signage all over. Class capacities are smaller, but we have space in our buildings for people to come in, and more people are coming in every day as people get more comfortable with the situation we're in, or whatever the reasoning is to come in more often. It gets busier and busier every day, which is nice.
Well, with COVID, I mean, the isolation that it created and the isolation within the veteran community to start with, and then that. So the reason that we started this podcast is so we could reach the veterans who are sitting at home, who are struggling, who think that they are the only ones, because that's how that brain piece works, right? They think that they're the only ones because they are in this isolation, right? And they isolate from their families because they think they're doing their families a favor as well, right? And so we really wanted to be able to reach and connect with veterans sharing their stories, with resources so that they know that they're out there. We as a community at Little Blessings and Warrior Spotlight, letting them know that we're here and that we partner with community agencies, right?
And
just letting people know what's out there.
And I would say if there are those folks that don't want to overly share their situation, but they want to start getting out there, we partner with many faith-based organizations, being a Christian organization ourselves. We have folks that work as chaplains in our locations. We have a gentleman by the name of Abimbola, who's our director of Christian mission, who is entire role within the Y is to lead Bible study classes and talk with members and provide spiritual guidance. So if there's anybody out there that just feels the need to talk, whether you're a member or not, call up and say, hey, can I talk to Abimbola? And we'll get you his number. And you can have that conversation. And he really works every day with our members, every day in the community.
That's a nice service to really have, because like you said, you think it's swim and gym?
Yep.
Is that it? Swim and gym? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all I ever thought it was.
So do you guys put on events for the community?
Yeah.
Is it just strictly for members, or is it the community as a whole?
In a typical non-COVID environment, we would have fall events at all of our locations open to the community. The Eastern Community Y, where my office is, typically has like a haunted hallway that's open, and a lot of that kind of paused this year because how do you do some of those events safely? But many of our events are open to the public. The Sylvania Y, I know you mentioned you're a member of the chamber there, did not a haunted, but like a spooky, walk through the woods in our property there that was open to the public. So you do not need to be a member to do a lot of those events. They'll hold a pool party in the summer at the East Y normally at the outdoor pool for the community and give away hot dogs and popcorn and things. Some events are member only, but we do have a ton of events that are community based.
This is what's so great about having someone like you on our podcast, right? So you said swim and gym, right?
Yep.
And so last week we had Jennifer. She's from Habitat Monroe.
Okay.
And she is one of our direct community partners with Little Blessings. And we talk about what the perspective is of the public, of how they view it, right? And yours is simply swim and gym, right? And so it's so great when, like, I didn't know you offered the faith-based stuff. I didn't know there were additional resources that people could reach out if they needed them and wanted a place to go and all of that type of stuff, which that's amazing. Because with them, when you think of Habitat, you think of building a house,
Building a
right?
house.
Correct, yeah.
That's the only thing that they do. That is the furthest thing from what happens, right?
Yeah.
But it's nice to be able to ask those questions because there's many people at home that just think that you go swimming and you're a gym.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we can't tackle every community need on our own.
No.
You can't tackle every
That's
community
why-
need on your
That's
own.
why we
Habitat
create-
can't on their
yeah.
own,
Yeah.
and this really came out during when we were closed in COVID. We set up a call center. We had 10 or 12 people, and we were focused on folks that were going to call in about our business. But people were calling and they were saying, I'm a member and I don't feel well. What do I do? So, we're not doctors or nurses or medical professionals, but through our other partners with the Area Office on Aging and the United Way and the health department, we were able to connect these folks and say, okay, if it's non-urgent, call the health department. They have a nurse line. If you're a senior and you're in need of food, call the Area Office on Aging and they have food delivery partners and things where. And we've been able to kind of help connect people in a way. That's not what we are at our core. Is a connection agency. That's not what we're here to do. But if somebody comes to us and says, "This is my need," we're going to do what we can to help them. We had people that would call us and say, "I want to donate money. Can you find a member who has utility bill issues? I want to pay them." Well, that's not typically what we do.
Right.
But if somebody's willing to say, I'll pay $500 of your electric bill, we're going to find somebody within an organization that needs that $500. Our development people might hate me for just saying that. but
Right there they are.
Yep.
Tell them sorry.
But it's about helping the community in that aspect. And, we play a small role in that, when it comes to our veterans and our military families. We want to be as welcoming and helpful as we can, but we're not going to meet all of their needs. But hopefully, we can help meet some of their needs.
Right, and that is so. At Little Blessings, we have multiple programs, and Jason just recently toured with a few of his individuals from his facility. They just toured our facility, and we are housed out of Duke Farms. But we offer equine therapy for veterans. Is our big mental health program, right? But the community-based part is what we have that is more than anything. So once a month we do like a community dinner, right? And it is for veterans and their families and our community partners. Because we know trust is a major thing with the veterans, right? So if we are bringing in community partners and you are seen on this show, you are now going to become a friendly face that people. Jason's going to become a friendly face, right? And so that's what we're trying to do is we are expanding our circle because just like you, we can't do it all either. There's 30,000 veterans between Lucas County and Monroe County alone. One veteran organization cannot do it by themselves. Not every veteran wants to go work out at a gym. Not every veteran wants to go through equine therapy. So it's having these sources available, letting them know what the options are out there, you know.
Yeah, and if I could make a point on
please.
that, based on some of my observations in my time in the veteran community, some of your older veterans organizations, over time they've tried to be that, we have something for everybody, and that's how we're going to bring in members, and we do all this stuff, and I'm reminded of the jack of all trades, master of none,
Right.
And I think that's why you see an emergence of mission specific organizations, especially in the veteran community, where those older organizations are trying to be everything for every veteran. The mission specific ones, they become experts at those missions, and that's why they have a much more
Kind of like in your lane and standing or what have you. Sure.
right, and the community aspect of working together
Right.
and knowing who the other experts in your community
Right.
are
Right.
at what somebody could need.
Where their niche and what
Because,
have
like you said,
right.
not everybody is trying to go to the gym and lift heavy things. But if somebody reaches out to us, if we don't know about Little Blessings, we can't tell
Right.
them.
Yeah.
So I think
Yep.
that's a very important aspect.
It's part of, like you're saying, creating not networking, but it sort of is, and,
Well,
and then
yeah.
the endorsement is a big
Yeah.
thing. I was thinking that because like 20 some years ago, when you were at the base, how they wouldn't allow certain pilots wouldn't want somebody to come into their house and paint, but the endorsement of that means a lot when you within the military community, because they are such a family unit type of thing. So when they see the friendly face, know that you're part of our team, or we're part of your team, and now we're teaming together to help find you and connect that person that does want to lift heavy or needs to go. That's
And that's why we
as
want to
good
have
a
you
part.
on here,
Yeah.
because we want to learn about you, right?
Sure.
Awesome.
And
I'm-
so it's
Because I would have
it's-
thought the same thing, swim and gym.
Yeah, it's not about us. So our one of our missions at Little Blessings, people ask us all the time, how can I volunteer? What are your needs, right? Well, those are great questions for us, but that's not how we answer it. So we ask what their gift is, right? What has God given you as a gift that you like to do? Would you clean a stall if I asked you to clean a stall? You probably would, right? But like we call her the garden fairy because she doesn't want her name known, right? She's a 77-year-old beautiful garden fairy. And during the summer, we put in a warrior garden this year, and she was there 3 days a week, 2 hours every morning, weeding the garden, and that's what makes her heart happy, right? And so that's how we are building our relationships like that, because we know if you are giving something from your heart, then you will stay longer and you'll build a relationship with us. One and done financial givings are great, yes, and we appreciate them, but I'd rather have a long lasting relationship that meant something, that is trusting that our veterans can count on and people that we can grow with.
And in the veteran community, we're able to spot fake right away, and you're going to gain a veteran's respect a lot quicker by saying, that's not something that we do, or that's something that I don't know, but we're going to connect you with the people that do. And it's having that customer service focus and making sure the veteran gets the best available care for whatever their issue is. It's still, you gain respect as an organization when you're able to say that's not our expertise, because the veteran's going to pick up half-ass,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
It's a great point. I would say we're never going to try to do equine therapy.
Right.
We have a camp in Jackson, Michigan, with a herd of horses, and the
Right.
kids go horseback riding and they enjoy it. But what we're doing with a horse ride is much different. So we shouldn't try to dabble in what we don't know how to do. We are a community, and we have resources, and we want those resources to be known. And like you said, when we can't accommodate that, we need to know the right people
Sure.
to send them off to. and be prideful about that. I think many times I've had this conversation with other community partners as we grow our relationships, is there's this old school mindset sometimes of, since you and I have similar missions, like we can't get along, like we have to butt heads. But that's not the truth, because there's 30,000 veterans.
30,000 just in Lucas
veterans.
County and Monroe County.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that one organization can handle that.
To
So even
service
if
the needs, yeah.
even if you're a similar service organization, you still have to work, with your partners that are doing a similar thing you are, because you can't serve 30,000 people. I can't serve 30,000. You can't serve 30,000. But maybe together, if I can serve,
Do 5,000. Right?
yeah,
No, it's absolutely.
yeah.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Yeah.
I like that. That was good. Yeah, and I say, there's more than one ice cream shop, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
And I go to all of them because I love ice cream, in case you can't tell.
Oh,
And other
At the end of
things.
the day, it's about the customer, or in our cases, the veteran themselves. And, there's room. I mean, like you said, I don't know that this statistic is still true to this day, but I know about 10 years ago, Northwest Ohio, Southeast Michigan had the highest per capita population of veterans in the entire country. So we have a multitude of organizations that, we're all fighting for attention. But at the end of the day, if you have a veteran focus or a customer focus in your benefits, we can all work together.
Yeah. And in the COVID world we live in, and I hate to keep going back to COVID, but my work at Ohio Business Week, a very small nonprofit based out of Columbus, a thing like COVID can be completely derailing to smaller organizations.
Yep.
And the only way that many nonprofits and many service organizations are going to survive through COVID is through the relationships that they have to continue to push people through their doors and continue to serve people, to continue to have a cause for giving and a cause for volunteers, because the isolation that this has brought isn't just for people, it's organizations as well have been isolated to their supporters. So being able to say, this is where you need to go, helps break that wall, that isolation that we all have right now.
Yep. Plus, if you think about it, and I know you and I talked a little bit on this, for me, for all of us, we need money to run, right? Or we can't do what we do, right? But I look at, there are donors, just like there are the veterans, right, in the veterans family who have specific needs. There are donors who have specific areas that touch their heart that they want to give. Maybe something special, in somebody's life happened at the Y, or, they were given that opportunity, right? And it always resonated with them, and they left an endowment for somebody, right? So you just never know what the donors feel like out there too. So that's why it's not of the community piece is my first and foremost piece of what we focus on at Little Blessings, right? I need you guys as community partners, right? Because again, the veterans are not going to trust people outside of this circle if I can't bring them in, right? And I want to build a good, trusting relationship with you, right? And so, yeah, it's not.
Well, and you've always the veteran doesn't, because we're proud, and I'm not a veteran, but I mean men are proud, but in a veteran, they're proud. They don't want to ask for help. And like the services that are out there, like you're saying, whether it's optical or clothing or food, just all the different things that you've, from the beginning, before even with the equine, was being able to get them what they needed. And, or can you ask? I've grown up with that. They'd always, well, where are you going to go? Or go ask, who do you know? And, and some of that isn't what you know, it's who you know. And I think that's a big fit in Warrior Spotlight, is getting into through the camera to the isolated room that some of the veterans are in, to hopefully draw them out, because there is, to see some of them that have come through the garden and the farm, it's just that wouldn't even take a hug. And I know I've said this before, but it is the truth. They're very standoffish, if you will. And to now giving hugs, and just how that place has opened them up.
And I
like
want to
a
add,
flower.
it's about family members too. So we have we had a lady on a few weeks ago. Her name is Erin. She is a daughter of a Vietnam veteran, and her son was in the Navy and committed suicide. And so we are a place for her to call home, for surrounding her with people who understand, right? And she just ironically, well, not really, sorry God, came to our farm, was going to do some horseback riding, right? And I met her, and we just started talking, and she told me right out of the chute that her son had taken his own life. And so we had her on here sharing what it was like to grow up with a Vietnam dad who drank, and what it did to her, and what she was like as a daughter, and then as a mother, right, going through her stuff, and then what happened to her son.
So some people can see that and relate too, because they don't realize how.
So this is about the family members just as much as it is about the veterans. So
And probably the one thing that will overcome a veteran's pride is their trust. And like you said, it's a very proud community, so we don't ask for help. But if I know that Jamie knows of the YMCA and benefits that they'll have, I'm going to trust Jamie's opinion before somebody at the VA who I really don't have that trusting relationship with. So that's where these networking communities really come into play in building that.
yeah.
That's the truth too. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, thank you so much, BJ. I don't want you to go. I want you to stay.
Yeah.
But we're gonna
Shift gears.
shift gears. Yes.
Okay.
The conversation's still gonna be just as good, though. I know it is. So.
I'm starting off with something for you, by the way.
Oh boy.
So.
Ice cream.
Well, then I'll let you start anywhere you want to.
Beverage.
Okay, so
Do you want to start with your military career? What do you want to start
well,
with?
what I want to start with, literally earlier today, before making the trip up here, we put a veteran in the Waterville YMCA for the next 12 months, paid in full.
Awesome.
So,
Sweet.
Awesome.
it's kind of nice meeting you and knowing that the Waterville branch falls under you. So,
So Task Force 20 did that?
correct.
That is amazing.
So,
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Small
Hopefully they gave you the right rate.
Well, go.
See, there's no coincidence.
Yeah.
You two
No
are
such
sitting
thing,
at the
yeah.
table
If they
together.
didn't, we'll
Yes.
fix it.
Yeah, we can go back. Right.
Yeah, so
That's
as-
amazing.
As soon as you mentioned Waterville, I was like, I'm going to make sure to bring that up.
Yeah.
That's
Awesome.
incredible. Yeah.
Let's talk about how maybe we can help you do a little more of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amazing. This is why I love Warrior Spotlight. Okay, go ahead.
So do you want to know?
I wanna know about
Yeah,
you.
Jason Graven. Do you want to
the
know?
task force.
Task Force 20.
We're going to get to Task Force. Let's
Okay.
learn about his military.
All right. So
The veteran
I'm gonna
piece first.
readjust.
That's the piece I
I'm gonna
like.
readjust.
Gotcha. Okay, so I Army MP, 3 years, 1 month, and 11 days. Wasn't counting in any way, shape, or form.
Right?
Right.
But no, my path into the Army, I feel was probably pretty traditional. I was kind of a turd as a kid, and I like to remind people that, having a wealth of opportunity in life is not how somebody ends up in active duty military.
Right.
We generally come from backgrounds that weren't flush with money and opportunity and all of that, and I certainly am an example of that. Failed out of 2 colleges before going in. Made some very questionable choices as a young adult after graduating high school, and I felt that was the best avenue for me to go to gain some direction.
I want to intervene. So
Absolutely.
that story right there, how many people do you think it will hit right there?
I hope at least one.
I guarantee more.
Yeah.
So this is why I like you to not leave things out of your story, right? Because it's somebody else is going to go, I am so Jason, right? And I don't know where to go, but they might reach out to you because your phone number will be on this, and they might be your connection, right?
Right.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. No, absolutely. You're 100% right. So the big mistake was that I did get somebody pregnant. And I personally, I am one of the children of the 22. I had a father who was kicked out of the military for drug use, left me and my mom when I was 2, found out when I was 13 that when I was 7 committed suicide. So obviously he was an individual with a lot of issues, and it's probably better off that he was not in my life, and I fully recognize that. So when the time came and that situation happened, I personally, I wanted to be the father that I never got to have. And, at the time I had a minimum wage job or something, didn't have a lot of opportunities. So, this was how I was going to turn my life around so that I could be that father. And with that, I actually enlisted 2 weeks after 9/11. I tend to leave out the previous stuff that I discussed, and I just lead with that. But I always try to say that 9/11 wasn't the predominant force. Like, I didn't join simply out of some love of country. But, I was asleep on the couch. My mom called, and she said, "Hey, you got to turn on the TV. We're under attack." Me and my all-knowing 20-year-old wisdom, I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" She said, "Shut up, turn on the TV, I'll call you later." I literally 30 seconds after I turned on the TV, second plane hit the tower, and I was glued there the rest of the day. So it was a very real experience. And a lot of thought went into that decision over the next 2 weeks. And I was like, with everything that is going on, and both in my personal life, but overall, I said, it's time to pull the trigger because what I'm doing ain't working. So, ironically, I decided military police was the route to go. I guess I liked it, but not really. I don't know if I'm, being an MP was, the recruiter was good. I believed I was
salesperson was great.
Sounds sarcastic there, sarcasm or what?
You
was
can call it
never
like it
going to
is,
go
yeah.
do anything. I was going to just get around, play with German Shepherds all day.
Right.
So, but no, I went off to, basic training in AIT. It was at Fort Leonard Wood. Then got stationed at Fort Hood in Texas. Ironically, the coldest I've ever been in my life was in the state of Texas. But 6 months after getting to Fort Hood, was, hey, we're going to Iraq. And I was like, Iraq? Yeah, I thought we were going to Afghanistan, and if you've ever seen the movie Jarhead, there's the one individual that complains the entire time, like it's all about oil because that movie was based on the first Gulf War. Yeah, I related to that person a little too much.
Love your honesty here. Love it.
Didn't have the best time when I was over there, but also when I got out of AIT, and this played into a lot of my negative emotions that I had towards the military, is I had found out that the woman that I had relations with and had a child gave it up for adoption, and put on the birth certificate that unknown father, right? So whole lot of court, and to this day I regret the extent that I went to in order to try and raise this child. Hindsight always being 20/20, I recognize that myself at such a young maturity, I probably wasn't ready. So it's probably best that it kind of did happen the way it did. However, I was bitter, and I spent a lot of my time in the military bitter. And so went over to Iraq bitter and angry. Like, what the hell are we doing in Iraq? I joined to go to Afghanistan, and when the 2-week deployment, because we all grew up watching the first Gulf War on TV, and what was it, the 100 hours or whatever is what that war took. Yeah, we're gonna be home in a couple of months. This is no big deal. It turned into a year, and came back, and I was, I guess, one of the original burn pit syndrome vets. Had a lot of breathing issues, and was eventually medically discharged out because of upper respiratory issues. At the time, they said I had work-related asthma, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, those are my favorites.
Yeah, so I ended up being medically discharged, and was kind of like, now I'm 24, 25 years old. What the hell am I going to do with the rest of my life? And
Are you in the VA system?
I am now.
How long did it take you from the time you got out to the time you got into the VA system?
I did everything on my own. And I'd say within 6 months.
Okay.
It was actually relatively easy for me because at the time I got out, at the end of 2004, you didn't have the long lines and the waiting time. So for me, it was relatively easy. But to this day, I hold to the premise that the best transition piece that a veteran can go through transitioning into the civilian world is a college campus. I believe that not just because I work at a college. I'm not recruiting for any of that. But I like to tell the story that when I was in college, everybody questioned the fact that my best friend in college was Saudi. Everybody's like, you just got back from Iraq 6 months ago, and the one person you're spending the time with the most is a Muslim. A lot of people disregard the fact that 90% of veterans come from two areas. It's either rural America or inner cities, right? And when veterans get out, where do they go back to? The same place they went. So especially if they're one-termers, they go into the military, they go overseas. Hey, all these people that don't look like me want to kill me. They come back. They go right back to where they were before. So their only exposure to the rest of the world is, hey, those people over there are bad. Mm-hmm. On a college campus, for me at least, being introduced to all those different personalities and cultures and all of that was very eye-opening. I got to see that people from all over the world, pretty much 90% of the things we believed were exactly the same. So that really helped in my transition back. Not only because of that, but I learned how to work with civilians as well. That's something, when you're in the military, you can't be fired. So that's why,
You just get a crappier job, right?
Right, exactly. Or you get in a lot better shape.
That's what I tell all the girls at the barn. I'm like, if you're doing a bad job there, I'm not firing you. There's a worse one on the farm somewhere.
Exactly. And of course, those of us that were in some form of leadership position, we learned to be in that leadership position from others who were over us. And you can't just quit. You can't just fire them. You got to work with what you got. Well, in the civilian world, you can't really be like that. You can't be that asshole that's just
that you want to be.
Right.
Just say it that you want to be.
I'm trying to be somewhat PC here, but you can't be that forceful because in the civilian world they can quit, especially if you're running a company or an organization.
They have this thing called HR.
Right. You can't just go around pissing people off, and it pisses me off. And so you learn all these different tools that have nothing to do with the subject matter that you're studying, and that is the ultimate reintegration. And one of the things we talk about routinely is you get 5 months to learn how to be a soldier in the Army or whatever branch you go through. They're going to take the time to teach you how to be in the military. But then when you're going into the civilian world, when I got out, you got 2 days. Now that you get 2 weeks, you're not prepared to walk back into the civilian world if you're active duty. And it is a big culture shock. Going into the college arena, it buys you a little time. Especially now with all the mechanisms that colleges have in place. You can still be around others that are like you in the veteran community, but you also get a chance to be around civilians in the classrooms and interact, and it buys you a little bit of time.
So perfect. So leading right into that, then tell us your title again, what you do at the college, and how that fits into what you're doing.
So I am the military program coordinator with Bowling Green State University. So, I'm an advisor. I help them choose classes if need be, help them understand how their course schedules relate to their benefits that they're using, if they're using benefits, etc. And it sometimes it makes me a little jealous because when I got out, I was, 2005, there wasn't this new GI Bill that paid for all this stuff. So I've got $90,000 in student debt. That's a good time.
My daughter, who is a Black Hawk pilot, I had to stay an extra 3 years, which I actually ended up staying an extra 8 years, but she got the post 9/11.
Yep.
And so she graduated with a master's degree with zero debt.
Yeah, I envy the hell out of her.
Yeah.
So
Well, we sacrificed. too.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
yeah. But
Yeah.
no debt financially. Yeah, I worked really hard for that.
Right.
Yeah. Knocking on me. But yeah, what? I thought you got scholarship money.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I do during the day. Is I'm helping these, National Guard, reservists, former active duty dependents make those correlations, and then when it comes to veteran events on campus, I am the one to oversee those events and stuff like that. But after I graduated, I actually got my undergrad in 2009. Height of the greatest economic recession since the Great Depression. I think a lot of people tend to forget that was only 10 years ago.
Right.
And it turns out nobody cares if you're a combat veteran with a bachelor's in history. I wish somebody would have told me that in 2005 when I chose that major. I went like a year. I couldn't find any kind of relevant work. And then lo and behold, this new GI Bill comes out. I've got a year's worth of benefits left, and hey, this time they're going to pay the tuition plus give me living stipend. So I decided to go back to school, and this time I'm going to get a degree that actually is going to pay off in the end. Hence the master's in business. And I just didn't stop when my benefits were up. I'm like, I'm this close. I'm just going to finish it off. After I got my MBA, about 5 months later, I went to work for the Department of Ohio American Legion, the state headquarters. And predominant reason I was able to get that job is my involvement in what is now the University of Toledo Student Veterans of America on campus. I was one of the founding members of that organization when I got back in 2005. And I talk a lot about that organization with the students that I have now, because I didn't want to go back. When I came back home, I didn't want to go back to hanging out with the same people that led me into the military.
Right.
It's, you're going to end up right. They probably haven't grown the way you have. We sought out other veterans on campus, and we started this organization before the Student Veterans of America was actually a thing. And because of my involvement with that, it led to my position with the American Legion. So I always try to tell everybody I meet, I never set out to be some kind of super soldier, like I'm gonna go give back in the nonprofit world to veterans. It's just kind of how my life all fell into place. So I pick up, I leave Northwest Ohio, and I'm headed to Columbus. I'm gonna go work at the headquarters. I'm gonna go change the world. At 32 years old, I'm gonna do this by going to work with an organization that's predominantly men in their 70s. So I describe a lot of my time with that organization of, imagine telling your grandfather he's wrong.
Right.
Now imagine you have to do it every single day.
Right.
And he still won't believe you.
Right. No, they just tell you to shut up, and they keep doing what they're doing. And a lot of that was failure on my part to frame a coherent argument that made sense to them. So it provided a lot of benefits because I was able to learn how to understand things on their level.
Right.
Because the Vietnam generation and our generation, as well as the Desert Storm generation, there's so much in common. We can't let little things that separate our eras keep us apart and not understand each other. And that was, like I said, a large failure on my part, not being able to frame the arguments that made sense for them. And so I go to work there and, don't know anybody whatsoever. Didn't know a single soul in Columbus. And moved down there, and it's not like, I'm going out with the people in the Legion on the weekends. Me and the boys are going out drinking.
Right.
So largely, you spoke about isolation. I lived that. Not because I wanted to, but I was definitely that curmudgeon vet that was just mad at the world.
Curmudgeon?
Yeah, angry, like the Grinch. The Grinch is a curmudgeon.
Do you ever hear that?
Yeah.
Curmudgeon?
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
It's his new word now.
Never friggin' heard curmudgeon.
I know two or three of them.
Curmudgeon, huh?
I know 2 or 3 curmudgeons.
Curmudgeon.
I bet they're all vets.
Curmudgeons.
Curmudgeon. That's a good one. I like that.
So I was
I
like,
can see him in my eyes.
Right.
I'm listening to your story and I'm picturing the grandpas. What you were up against. I'm with you.
Grandpa
And that
Bill, he was a curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon.
Yeah.
He was
Just-
cantankerous.
get off my grass. You know
Yeah,
that guy.
That's
So,
curmudgeon. Yeah.
Not Bill Paxton. You're the one.
Oh yeah, he was cantankerous.
Yeah.
well, I tell you what, I was that old grumpy curmudgeon at the age of 32.
Damn.
And probably
Did you
at
get
the
over
age
it?
of 25. Am I over it now? Yes,
Yeah,
very
good.
much so.
I'm glad. I hate to see a
and I'll get to
curmudgeon.
why that happened.
All right, I'm following along.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell this story quick.
Oh, you're all right.
Anybody that knows me knows
We ain't on a time limit. Don't let her looking at that phone get you nervous. You're all right.
No.
Every single story I tell is going to be
You're good at it, so keep it
10
going.
shades too in depth than what it needs to be.
You got it.
So I go down to Columbus. I don't know anybody. I don't like anybody because
Because you're a curmudgeon.
Yeah, I was going
because
to
I'm a
say.
curmudgeon.
You're curmudger.
And my entire adult life I had spent just bitter and angry because of how everything. Do you need to get that?
No.
It's our daughter.
She knows you were just talking about her. So
Right.
she's gone.
Exactly. Why are you talking about my MBA or
Yeah,
master's
you're
degree?
freaking going to get a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
So I don't know anybody, and I go to work, and it was my first real office job. Like going for my undergrad, I was a manager at a restaurant, and getting my MBA, I was a server.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first time I had that big boy job, working in a corporate structure at a desk, and I definitely took advantage of that fact. So I did a lot of sitting. And, not knowing about it, I would then go home. And what I would do is I would sit and I'd watch TV. And eventually that turned into I would sit and watch TV with a drink. And at the time, I was kind of a heavy smoker, pack and a half, 2 packs a day as well. So tons of alcohol, cigarettes, just a very sedentary lifestyle, wasn't very active. And one day I looked in the mirror and I just kind of like, Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, right? The dance scene where he's like, really turned on by himself. Yeah, I looked in the mirror and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't. It's like, I got to do something here. I'm miserable. I'm overweight. I'm severely unhealthy, borderline diabetic. And I had remembered from my time in the military almost 10 years earlier, all of my leadership, when you first get there, at least in active duty at the time, they tell you, you know what, if you're sad, take your ass to work out. If you're homesick, go work out. And when you're there, it doesn't make sense. You're like, you know what, you just want me to pass a PT test, you asshole. I got
Right.
real problems here and you don't want to listen. Well, 12 years later, I finally listened.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to the gym. I'm not giving myself a chance to talk myself out of it. I ain't got nothing better to do anyway. A gym less than a mile away. I went up there, I walked in, I was like, I need a membership. Signed up right there, didn't ask questions.
Was it a Y?
No,
We'll forgive that. It's okay. It's okay.
what? You should have been better located.
Yeah. Location, right.
Exactly. So I go sign up, and I get started. And I started off with, I would just go in, I would do a few miles on the bike. Right, just to set that routine. Even if I didn't want to go there, I'd just go up there just to. My workday wasn't done until I hit the gym, and after about a year getting into it, I thought to myself, I had noticed my time in the gym completely changed a lot of who I was. I had goals. I made friends because other people in the gym start to recognize you. You make those friendships. My confidence was through the roof. Some would even say that I'm wildly cocky now. And I would agree with them, but I earned it, and I noticed so many different positive things. So I started researching the correlation between physical fitness and mental health. And I, started seeing the trend. And at that time, there weren't a lot of articles and information out that pertained to that. But I thought to myself, I'm sitting here, I've spent my entire adult life pretty much in veteran nonprofits, one way or another. I've got an MBA, so I'm educated. If I'm not going to do it, who is? So I started looking at how to start a nonprofit, and that's how Task Force 20 comes in. And I had pitched the ideas to a couple different people in the organization that I was working with at the time, and they didn't want anything to do with it. We do what we do. We don't think that's gonna work. That's gonna be a big thing. Okay, you can't win everything, but to hell with you, I'm gonna go do it myself.
So,
Right.
So I kind
Tell
of
me I won't and watch.
right. I started it in my spare time, and I started taking Chantix, which, by the way, the rumors you hear on Chantix, absolutely true. You become a miserable cuss, but the best decision it's the best decision I ever made. Within 2 months, I went from a pack and a half to 2 packs a day. And I had tried to quit many times, unsuccessful, to I haven't touched a cigarette in 4 years now.
Oh, congratulations. Good.
Yeah, great job.
So, people would razz me at the gym. They're like, really? We see you walk or run up here every single day, and then you walk right back out with a cigarette in your mouth. What are you doing? So, hearing that convinced me. So, I started Task Force 20 and, just kind of doing it as a side thing, kind of keeping it under wraps because I am working for this other organization. And eventually, my time at where I was working had come to an end. Both mentally I was checked out because I wanted to have more of a direct effect on the veteran community. So, that transition was being made. And
It's so funny how we want to give back to veterans
absolutely.
when we get out. Like, it is such a passion to do that, right? Because we know the needs that are there, right?
Yeah.
And we know the experience, but you don't know the experience till you get out and you go through it, right? And it's crazy, the
Right.
desire to give back, yeah.
Yeah, so again, here I am. Like, again, I never set out to be, a
So,
super soldier.
what is Task Force?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
go on.
No, absolutely.
You interrupt.
absolutely.
Go ahead.
So, given my
I'm in the
experience,
story. I'm curmudgeon. I want to curmudge through it. I don't know. You
Right.
just go ahead. He's
but-
like right on the verge of telling me what it is because he's on another job. Go
You're on
ahead.
the edge of your seat. You're about
I
to fall
am,
off.
man.
You
I got to
can't
pee
wait.
for one thing. But go ahead.
I'm either rambling or telling a really great story. Either
Keep
way, I
it
don't know.
going. I'm just waiting to hear. You're leaving the other job because it's
Right.
consuming you mentally that you
Right.
want to
It-
devote
and
it
I
all
had
to Task Force
discovered-
20.
I had discovered, the correlation between physical fitness and mental health.
Right.
And, so I started Task Force 20 with our entire goal is to fund physical fitness for veterans as a healthy option in dealing with symptoms of PTSD and depression. Our biggest success story to this day, in my opinion, is we had a former Navy vet. She lived in Nebraska. She had muscular dystrophy, went to the VA. The VA granted her 12 aqua therapy sessions a year. That's one a month. We were able to step in, get her a gym membership at the YMCA, where she could then use the pool at any time that she felt she needed. So she could go to her aqua therapy sessions, learn the movements that they wanted her to go through. She could then apply them at the Y
At
on
her
a
leisure,
daily
right.
basis.
So you get funding then. Is that what Task Force 20 does? Is
Yep.
creates funding for veterans then to use at certain gyms of super
Absolutely.
fitness, the Y.
He's swearing at me over there.
Super fitness, or the Planet Fitness.
Right.
Now he's really.
Yeah, cuss.
I'm sorry.
What's another one? All these little mom and whatever their choice would be. A
That's it. I'm out of here.
jujitsu. Yeah,
But we're building a relationship.
Okay, I got
is
you.
what we're doing
So
today.
that's what Task Force you
Yep.
seek out, come up with funding, whether it's donations, different things. Oh, okay, cool.
So where did Task Force 20 tell me
now
about-
I know
Yeah.
the Paul Harvey of it.
Right. Yeah. So when we were starting it, the original name for Task Force 20 that I had come up with, using my background, was going to be Team 20. That's all it was. Because at the time, everybody, if you haven't by now, everybody should have heard that 22 veterans per day that commit suicide.
Right.
That is based off a 2013 VA report. Right. In 2016, when we were founded, the number had fallen to 20.
Oh,
The
okay.
2019 VA report, it is down to 18. one is too many. So
Sure.
we at the time, the 20 and Task Force 20, that's what it stands
Reference.
for.
Oh,
I
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, no,
That's
that's
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Now, the team aspect, one of my executive board members, he says, you know what? I think task force sounds a little bit more military. What do you think about that? And I started racking around my brain. I was like, Task Force 20. I like it. So that's where the name came from. And if you look at the logo, you see the 5 branches
Right.
around the 20. That is to symbolize the perimeter around the 20 veterans inside to kind of give the semblance of we're protecting
Shield.
those that need assistance or whatever, like a shield.
So
Cool.
if a veteran, say I have somebody who wants to be part of a Y here locally, right?
Yep.
And what is the process? What does that look like?
So if you don't know anybody that's already involved with Task Force 20, you would go to our website. We have a apply for benefits page. You complete the form. Now, we do require some evidence that you yourself are a veteran, whether it's a veteran ID card or a driver's license with the Armed Forces designation, or a DD-214 with the Social Security number blacked out. I don't want your information. Please don't send it to me. Happens way too often. But you upload the form, you fill it out, you tell us why you should be selected over others. Thankfully, that's never come into play.
I was going to ask you
never
that.
had a wait
lottery
list.
or
Nope.
Just,
We've been able to maintain a no wait list whatsoever.
Right.
That's
That's
amazing.
all cool.
So they then they send this in. We send an email verifying, hey, we received your application. The next step is to identify the facility. So one of the things that makes us unique is we don't work with the gyms. No offense, we work with the veteran, and we took this approach specifically because the veteran knows what is going to work best for them. We've had veterans select gyms because it had childcare. The YMCA's have pools. Not all gyms have pools. It might be a location thing, like, hey, I'm a mile from this gym. That's where I want to go. So if we were to
Right.
work exclusively with the gyms, we're leaving out a whole lot of veterans that might not want to go to those gyms.
Sure.
So, that's something that we take a lot of pride in. You tell us what works best for you.
You're serving the veterans.
Right.
We then contact the gym, explain who we are as an organization. Hopefully, one day we won't have to do that. And we give them a call. Hey, I've got this veteran. Our nonprofit is going to pay for a 1-year membership, paid in full. Is there something that we can work out? How much is it going to cost? And we do have Anytime Fitness of Ohio. I don't know if I can throw that out like that. But we have a agreement worked out with them where we pay for 6 months. They donate or write off the other 6 months. So it's less expensive for us. They still get paid. So it's not like us begging the gym, hey,
Right.
give us your services
Right.
for free. But veteran doesn't pay a single dollar, right? And one of the reasons we take this approach is the veterans that need our services the most, they're on fixed incomes,
Right.
right? Whether it be VA disability or, a pension or Social Security. Fitness and gyms and supplements and equipment and all of that tend to go at the back of the priority line. Our goal is to eliminate those financial burdens of a healthy and active lifestyle. Whether it be going to a gym, and you mentioned, you kind of get branded into a specific box. We're not just gyms. That just happens to be what is requested 95% of the time.
Let us
So,
know.
yeah.
That's how
Exactly.
So say that again now. I'm sorry.
We are not exclusive to just gyms and lifting weights.
Meaning as far
So if
as
somebody
the health.
wanted to do Pilates.
Pilates.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
yep,
I got you. It is all about physical fitness, though.
correct.
That's all
Yeah.
you're going to fund with. Like we were saying, if you wanted to go to a martial arts class and, because there's
Yep.
the physical fitness aspect or
We
karate
actually-
of something.
So
Yeah, I got you.
Rudo Jiu-Jitsu.
Jiu-Jitsu,
we
no.
work with them. They have donated some memberships to us, so veterans can go there 6 months free and try their hand at jiu-jitsu, because at least in the Army, I can't speak for all the branches, that's what we're taught as for hand-to-hand combat. So if they wanted to continue that, Rudo Jiu-Jitsu has stepped in and said, you know what, you have a veteran that wants to do this, they get to come here for free. In 2019, we fully funded a golf outing for the University of Toledo Student Veterans of America. Not a single veteran had to pay $1 to participate in this golf outing, because not only is it golf and physical fitness, it's camaraderie building. So we stepped up to make sure, we want all of you to participate. Oh, and invite your friends, and they can come too, and we'll pay for them if they're veterans.
That's cool.
So it's not simply about getting in and getting involved with our organization. As we've talked about, we're willing to step in and relieve that financial burden so that they can get involved somewhere, in a healthy and active way.
That's amazing.
Yep. Yeah. So, we know, exactly, the endorphins working out and all that. And it does cost a lot to eat clean and supplements, let alone the gym, because without it, it does take the other part of it. But that is, that you didn't, did you know about these two connected in that aspect?
I had no idea.
Isn't that crazy? How?
I would have thought you planned
Yeah,
it.
me too.
I thought you
That was my thought when he started
I did
talking,
too.
was that you
I thought you already knew that.
No.
That was a hustle.
No.
Right.
I'm gonna step over there for a minute and use the restroom, please.
Okay.
I
Seat up here, Andy.
I would say, the comment you made about not specifically working with the Ys is that's not a bad thing to me, because that allows you to serve more people, because it's not a hidden fact that we're not the least expensive fitness facility out there, because we're not a fitness facility. We're all that other stuff that we talked about earlier. So if you have a veteran that only wants to run on an elliptical, and there's a Y and another location whose name I'm not going to say that might be in the same community, and I would hope that the leadership in my organization would agree with this. What's best for you is to send them to the location that only has the treadmill or the elliptical, if that's all they want. But if they need childcare, if they want a pool, if they want to do other things, if they want spiritual support, then connect them to the right place. And we need to find a way to work together on that. I should say we will find a way to work together on that. So that
I hope so.
So that hopefully you can send more, more veterans into physical fitness.
Right. Yeah, and when I moved back up here at the beginning of 2018, maybe somewhere, 2018. We were still small. We were less than 2 years old, and here we are going through a complete relocation. When I left Central Ohio to come back up here, we really dedicated ourselves, and I couldn't be more proud of the entire team that we have that works with Task Force 20. But in 2019, we were able to put, I think, 27 veterans in gyms. And even this year, even with the 3-month shutdown of gyms, I think we're in the teens. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but we're less than 4 years old. We've gone through COVID. We've gone through a relocation. And all of this has happened because working with gyms and the communities that have given their hard-earned money to do this, and the veterans that have shared their stories. Because like you said, when it comes to the pride aspect of the veterans, they don't want to be put on blast. So it's hard for us to get them showing like, hey, Task Force 20 helped me. But that's what the donors want to see.
Right.
But the veteran doesn't want to be called out like that. So we don't always get to share those success stories, the way we would like to. And I'm sure you guys, go through the exact same thing. No, I don't want to be in a picture. Well, we need to tell these stories.
Sure.
So it's with everything that's going on, I couldn't be more proud of the community. Not only the Task Force 20 team, but the other nonprofits that have recognized what we're trying to do, that have been willing to work with us. Say it again for the people in the back. Because we can help, and so can they. And if we can't, we want to know that they can, and we're going to send that veteran where they can get help, because it's about them, not about what we do.
Right.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
It is. And it's kind of like sponsoring, so to speak, where if they know they're sponsoring a veteran to get healthy, but I get it where some people don't want to be,
Yes.
considered like that, but
Well, thank you,
it's sort
gentlemen,
of
so
important,
much,
but-
and it was amazing that
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
worked out the way that it
kidding.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not plan it that way, but yeah.
I could have
yeah,
sworn
obviously
you did.
you could write a whole nother story, you two
Yeah.
together, huh?
Yeah.
exactly.
No.
We'll
Brainstorm.
come back in a few months and,
And tell
talk
us
about
those
how we
stories.
worked
Exactly.
together.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Follow
Did
up.
you do that?
Yeah, follow up. Yeah, absolutely a follow
Yeah.
up. Yep.
Well, thank you
'Cause I
guys so
think
much
it
for
is
being on the
important.
show today, and we will get you the links, and we'll put all your stuff out there so people can contact you.
Awesome.
LinkedIn, so you might want to check that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna update that.
We'll put all
You're
your
on
stuff out there.
Facebook and
so.
all that, I'm sure, right?
No,
Yeah.
Task
All
Force
the-
20. We're on Facebook, Instagram. We have a
Right.
Twitter. We don't use it.
Right.
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
Right.
But I just want to point out that's why I didn't say anything when he was talking, because once I get going,
Yeah, we can tell you,
Yeah.
which is good.
That's
You're
why I
good.
put
You
him in
sto-
segments,
yeah.
though.
Right.
Did you?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
didn't know that. You didn't know he's such a good storyteller, did you? Or you met him before?
yeah.
Yeah, you got.
Good night, everybody.
You
Thank
got
you
his
so
vibe.
much. See you
ya.
next week.
Yeah.
Well,